Welcome back to Mountain Line News, Veterans Day edition. I'm your lead anchor, Kamryn BIliter.
And I'm Brody Fugate.
Veterans Day is a prestigious and honorable holiday that we celebrate annually, November 10th.
It's a day where we remember and celebrate the past and present that have served in the U.S. military.
This year, we will be bringing you our Veterans Day program virtually in hopes of reaching a larger audience to commemorate these honorable people. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
The flag folding ceremony will be conducted by the middle school. It is folded 13 times to represent the original 13 colonies.
Did you know that there is flag etiquette that should be followed when displaying and storing the American flag? When raising and lowering the flag, it should be hoisted briskly but lowered ceremoniously. The flag should only be displayed from sunrise to sunset on buildings and stationary flagpoles. It may be displayed throughout the night if illuminated during the hours of darkness. The flag should not be displayed on days when the weather is inclement unless the flag in use is an all-weather flag.
When facing the flag during the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance, all those present should stand at attention with their right arm over their heart. Men should remove their hats. Military personnel, both those in uniform or out, should salute the flag.
Next up, we have K through 3 singing Proud to be an American.
Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. I'm proud to be American, at least I know I'm free. I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to me. Stand up next to you. Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American. Well, at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me.
Let's take a look at the 4th and 5th grade military research projects.
I'm Lucas Patterson, and I'm gonna be showing y'all what we're doing. So this week is military week, and we have these papers, and mine's the Navy, but there's other ones like the Coast Guard, Marines, Army, and Air Force, and Coast Guard. Okay, so we're doing these papers about the Army. There's different ones, like I'm doing the ones about Marines. And we are going to put these out in the hallway.
Here, I'm doing the Army, and there's some important dates, like May 5th, 1789 was the French Revolution.
The U.S. Air Force has been around since September 18th, 1947. They have 59 bases as of 2020. They have 321,848 service members in the U.S. Air Force, and Chuck Norris was in there.
I'm working on the Air Force, and the three bases that are located near, or one base that's located near Kentucky is Fort Campbell, and then they used rifles and a bunch of planes. They also used like this shark-looking plane that sort of had like a bunch of teeth.
Okay, my papa was in the Marines, and then I guess he retired, and we're working on this project for the Veterans Day tomorrow, so yeah.
We're doing the Marine Corps, and we're trying to figure out what the date was established.
We're working on a project about Veterans Day. My papa was a veteran. He died though. He was in the Army. So was my uncle.
Hello, I'm Kenton Burnett, and we're having to do a paper about Marines, and then there's other different ones about the Navy, the Army, and all those other different kind of branches about the Army.
I'm talking about the Army, and there's some famous Army veterans, like Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley was in the Army, Johnny Cash was in the Army, Clint Eastwood was in the Army.
Veterans Day is about working for the USA, keeping our country safe.
Here is the reading of Flanders Field, a poem written during the First World War.
Did you know the red poppy came to symbolize the blood shed by those who fought and those who continue to fight in our country, following the publication of the wartime poem In Flanders Fields? The poem was written by Lieutenant John McCrae as a way to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice during World War I.
In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the lark still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago we lived, felt dawn, sunset glow, loved and word love, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field.
Let's check out some of the Veterans Day art our students created as Hannah Hussain and Michaela Terrell sing Traveling Soldier.
cafe there gave his order to a girl with a bow in her hair. He's a little shy, so she gives him a smile, and he said, would you mind sitting down for a while and talking to me, feeling a little low. Said, I'm off in an hour and I know where we can go. So they went down and they sat on the pier. He said, I bet you got a boyfriend, but I don't care. I got no one to send a letter to. Would you mind if I sent one back here to you? I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy too young for him. They told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again, never more to be alone. When the letter says the soldier's coming home. So the letters came from an army camp in California, then Vietnam, and he told her of his heart might be in love and all of the things he was so scared of. He said, when it's getting kinda rough over here, I think of that day sitting down on the pier, and I close my eyes and see your pretty smile. Don't worry, but I won't be able to write for a while. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy too young for him. They told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again, never more to be alone. When the letter says the soldier's coming home. One Friday night at a football game, the Lord's Prayer said and the anthem sang, and a man said, folks, would you bow your heads for the list of local Vietnam dead? Crying all alone under the stands was a piccolo player in the marching band, and one named Red, and nobody really cared but a pretty little girl with a bow in her hair. I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy too young for him. They told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again, never more to be alone. When the letter says the soldier's coming, I cried, never gonna hold the hand of another guy too young for him. They told her, waiting for the love of a traveling soldier. Our love will never end, waiting for the soldier to come back again, never more to be alone. When the letter says the soldier's coming home.
We now have some of the middle school students setting up the Fallen Comrade table in honor of the fallen, missing, or imprisoned soldiers.
A missing man table, also known as the Fallen Comrade table, is a ceremony and memorial that is set up in military dining facilities of the United States Armed Forces and during official dining functions in honor of the fallen, missing, or imprisoned military service members. The tradition got its start as a way to honor the large number of prisoners of war and missing in action members during the Vietnam War.
The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of the soldiers alone against their oppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions. The black napkin reminds us of the sorrow of captivity. The single rose displayed in the vase, tied with a red ribbon, is symbolic of the families and loved ones who keep the faith waiting for their return.
The slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. The grains of salt are symbolic of the family's tears. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts. Remember all of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid and relied upon them, for surely they have not forgotten you.
Last year, Miss Yates' class created projects for the 957 Project. Check it out.
So the 957 Project is a nonprofit organization that was started by two veterans of wars of 9/11. And when they came back from those wars, they recognized that the stories that they had were powerful and the experiences that they had were powerful, but that students, particularly in high school, didn't know a lot about 9/11 and the experiences that these men had. And so they created an organization where veterans would come into schools and talk to students about their experiences. They found that it was very beneficial in helping with PTSD and a lot of the issues that those soldiers face. But it also taught students a lot about things like courage and integrity and some of those personality skills that we really want students to develop as high schoolers. The project itself was a collaboration between me and one of the founders of the 957 Project. Peter Findler is one and John Hamilton is the other. John actually came to our school on 9/11 and spoke to our students and told his story. And from there, he connected us with Peter, who wanted to do a podcast with our students. Where they interviewed veterans and developed questions and then created a podcast from that, which is actually housed in the Library of Congress now, so that other people can go and listen to these stories, because what we know is that once these men are gone, those stories are gone with them, and so we want to preserve those and send those on for future generations to know the sacrifices that those men made, and women. And so my students, being able to participate in that, learned so much about the sacrifices that the people made, about not only the soldiers but their families. A lot of the stories, when you talk to my students who recorded those podcasts, that was the thing that stood out to them, that it wasn't just a sacrifice that the men had to make to put their lives on the line, but their families had to make sacrifices. And so that the impact of those experiences spread far beyond just the soldier themselves. So I think that probably, of everything that they took away, that was most powerful. One of the things I love, our student Luke Akers did an interview with John Hamilton, and it was after that Luke made his final decision to join the military, and so now he's in basic training. And so they all started off by developing, well, we talked some with some other students who had done interviews. We had a person who from EKU who came to speak to their students about oral history and how we preserve stories, the kind of questions that we want to ask. And then the students got to work, they developed their own questions of things that they wanted to ask. That took a lot of prep time, because when you're trying to get a story from somebody and their experiences, the questions have to be deep and they have to be meaningful. So they began with some basic questions, and then they really used their own personalities and their own interests to delve into those stories that they wanted to follow, because of course these veterans have all kinds of experiences they can share with us, so our students really got to personalize what it was that they wanted to tell. So once they developed their questions, then they had to put them into a specific order, like what makes sense as we're talking about a podcast for people to listen through. So then they practiced interviewing people, because interviewing is a skill, and then they actually got to do the podcast, and then once that was completed, they had to do a reflection on what they learned, and then we put the podcast together, and then we got to share them with the world. So the 957 is the time stamp of when Flight 93 crashed into the Pennsylvania field. And that name is significant because that was really the first act of war on terrorism. The people on that flight were really the first soldiers in that war, in that they overtook the plane, because we pretty much know that plane was headed for the Capitol. And so if it had struck, it would have been detrimental to our country. So the fact that they sacrificed their own lives, that they had courage, that they had resilience, and that they stood up to this terror was really important. And so that's kind of what that title represents, all of those characteristics that those men and women on that plane had, as well as what we want to develop in our students. So they would want to go to the website, the957project.org, and from that website, they would look for Operation Crest, which is the title of the podcast, and all those podcasts are listed there. They just dropped our last podcast of our students, so all of those podcasts are now online. You can also find those podcasts on anywhere that you listen to podcasts, so Apple Podcasts or any place like that. If you just search for Operation Crest, that's where they're located.
Kamryn and I got the chance to interview some veterans at our honorary lunch on Friday. Let's take a look.
What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
Terry Garrison, United States Navy.
Okay. Where did you serve and what was your favorite part of serving?
I served in California for 4 years, Naval Air Station Lemoore. And I guess my favorite part of it was just being out in California for 4 years.
If you had any advice for somebody that was wanting to serve in the future, what would you say to them?
I'd say go for it. It's fun. Had fun 4 years for me.
Thank you. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
My name's Tony Lynch and I served in the Army.
Where did you serve and what was your favorite part?
I served in Iraq in 2003. Favorite part was getting to meet new people and getting to help the citizens of Iraq.
And if someone was to serve in the future, what advice would you give to them?
Just remember, it's not a job choice, it is a lifestyle. It's not your regular 8 to 5.
Thank you. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
Marvin Amberger, U.S. Air Force.
Where did you serve and what was your favorite part?
Well, I served in Geneva, New York, Sampson Air Force Base, Amarillo Air Force Base, Amarillo, Texas, and 3 years and 3 months in England at RAF Station, which was a Royal Air Force Station, Sculthorpe. I was a B-45 bomber mechanic.
And if someone was to join in the future, what advice would you give them?
I had a good time myself. It was all peacetime. It was during the Cold War when, we had a lot of hostilities with the atomic weapons, but other than that, it was a good experience.
Thank you. All right. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
My name is Joseph Charles Lieutenant III. I served in the United States Air Force, Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas.
What was your favorite part of serving?
Oh, I had a lot of fun. The experience, the learning, I enjoyed every bit of it. It was awesome. It was awesome.
And if someone was to serve in the future, what advice would you give to them?
I'd say go for it. It teaches you, it takes you from being a young man or a boy and teaches you to become a responsible man.
Thank you. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
Doug Walker, U.S. Army.
And what was your favorite part and where did you serve?
I was in Fort Gordon, Georgia for 2 years and Fort Riley, Kansas for 2 years, and my favorite part is it taught me discipline.
What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
Jim, last name is Van Cleve. I was with the U.S. Army at Fort Campbell.
And what was your favorite part of serving?
Just to have done it, to have done my part for my country. I was over in the first Gulf War, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and it just feels good to be over there. It was an experience I wouldn't trade for anything, but I'm glad I made it back.
And if someone was to serve in the future, what advice would you give to them?
Just be prepared to go. There's a lot of traveling, a lot of moving. They're going to deploy you a lot, but it's a great job and it's great people that you're with.
Thank you. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
I'm Casey Patrick and I served in the U.S. Army.
Where did you serve and what was your favorite part?
I served in Fort Riley, Kansas and 2 tours of Iraq. My favorite part was the brotherhood with all my troops.
And if somebody in the future was to serve, what advice would you give to them?
Take as much out of it as what you can, because they're going to get as much out of you as they can.
Thank you. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
William Barlow, United States Marine Corps.
And where did you serve and what was your favorite part?
I was at Camp Lejeune. I was at Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. I guess my favorite part was peacetime. And I served over in Iraq. And what was the other part? What?
If you had any advice for someone serving in the future, what would you give that?
Stay faithful to your comrades.
Thank you. What is your name and what branch did you serve in?
My name is Anthony Staple and I served in the United States Army.
Where did you serve and what was your favorite part?
My original duty station in the States was Fort Bliss, Texas, but I did a year in Iraq. My favorite part was the guys that I met, the friendships that I made and stuff like that while I was in.
And for someone that would serve in the future, what advice do you have for them?
Take advantage of all the schooling that you can get while you're in. It's a really good program. You know, 90% of your college can be paid for it.
Thank you. After our veterans enjoyed lunch on Friday, we had a walk in honor to celebrate them and their sacrifices they made for our country.
For our final segment, we want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who has ever and will serve our country.
To all the veterans, past and present, I want to say thank you so very much for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, veterans past and present.
Thank you so much, not only to you, but to your families for the sacrifice that you made for our country.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, veterans, for your service to our great country.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
I want to say two names. The first is Foley Thompson, served in World War I. The second is Ralph Gene Russell, served in World War II in the Pacific. Thank you all
Thank
Thank
you for your service.
you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, veterans, for your service.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you for your service. Gracias por tus servicios.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you for watching our 2023 Veterans Day program.
We hope everyone enjoyed and learned more about this memorable day. We will see you next week on Mountain Line News.